it's Jess here with Let's Jess. We just ended part 1 of the autism awareness video Q&A, and I talked forever, like 25 minutes on like 4 questions. I'm so sorry, but I didn't get to all your questions, and so I wanted to do a part 2 while I'm sitting here with the questions and in this frame of mind. So we're just going to jump back into it. This was a collab I did for Autism Awareness Day. I know that's already passed, but I do think it's important to spread autism awareness all throughout the year and to reach out, you know, and spread the word for parents that need help, or to get their kids, like, know what to watch for so they can get their kids treatment and support. And anyway, let's just dive into the questions. Let me find out where we were. Madeline Mollahan says, she said that she doesn't have a question, but her 4-year-old niece is on the spectrum, and as a 20-year-old, I'm trying to educate myself more. That is so amazing. I wish I had educated myself more on autism before I got started down this road with my family, but that's awesome. I think that autism awareness is so helpful, because what's amazing is I was always afraid of the word autism. Like when we were worried about Nate having it, just thought that that must be the worst thing in the world to get diagnosed with autism. But it brought so much support for Nate. If we're in a store and he's having a meltdown, I can just look at another person or a worker and say, he has autism. And they immediately understand to some level. They may not understand all of it, but they understand, oh, and they know how to help you. They know maybe you need to be left alone, you know, and they can say, oh, well, how can I help you? It's not just like a kid screaming in the store. I just feel like the word autism does have some power to it. And so if the more people are educated about autism, the more support people and families have out there that have autism, if that makes sense. I love Kimberly McDonald's question. She says, what can I do as a bystander to help a family if I see a child having a hard time in a public setting? And she said, before I've caught the parent's eye to offer any help I could. She doesn't want the family to feel like they're bothering her, but she wants to offer help. And this is just such a beautiful question. Here is my opinion. It's not probably everybody's. And like I said, this is like the other video I said, like, this is just me as a mom. I'm not a professional. This isn't like everybody. It's just my opinion and my journey and our journey. This has happened to us a few times to where, you know, I feel like we're making a scene in public and the people around us can either really help the situation or make it a lot harder. I think the best thing, if you notice a kid having, and it could be a kid on any level or disability or just an average normal kid. I don't like to say normal, but you know what I mean. Neurotypical kid. I think looking at the parent and asking, like, is there anything I can do? Or just smiling, or just offering a you're doing a good job. That is what makes me cry every time, because there has been people, there was this lady that was at our library group, and when Nate and Lucy were little, we used to go to the library and like have story time, and it was a handle. Like, I look back and I'm like, why did I even do that? Because it was a handle. Lucy was a baby. Nate was really little, really active, and had, you know, we were figuring out his autism diagnosis. But this lady came up to me after a few weeks, and she was just like, I just want you to know you're doing an amazing job. You're such a good mom. And I just was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then I got in my car and I cried my eyes out, because just the fact that someone's, and I'm still crying now, like that lady probably has no idea how much that meant to me. I am not going to cry. So I think just positivity, like the parents, when your child is having a meltdown, especially in public, it is the most, you feel helpless. You feel like there is nothing I can do right now. And probably for you as a bystander, there's nothing you can do either. Like, it just has to pass usually. So just giving the parent a pep talk, like that means the most to them, because they feel like, I always feel like, oh my gosh, we're causing a scene and people are going to be upset, and, you know, I've got to get him out of here. And I just feel like I'm failing. Like, I'm so bad. Why did I think to do this? This is all my fault. I should have prepared him better. Like, that's what's going through my head. And so for someone else to see that and say, Mom, you're doing a good job. You're doing an amazing job. Keep going. It's, you know, and so like I could cry thinking about it, because it means that much. So I would just say, offering that mom a smile, you know, if it's a situation where they may need help, I think asking, hey, do you need any help, is an amazing thing. I don't know what situation that would be, but like say they're by themselves and they have other kids and everything's going crazy. I've been in those situations before. I kind of wish someone had asked me for help. But just being willing to give some positivity, give some love, and just smiling to let them know that they're not ruining your day. Because when people do that, like I've been in a situation, Nate at the movies one time, and we try to get him out of there as soon as possible. I know nobody wants to go to the movies and listen to a kid scream, but it took a minute for us to get out, and people were so rude to us. That's one of the only times, because most people are amazing and so nice, and they probably didn't understand what was going on. And I think we ended up telling them like he has autism, because I want people to realize like not every kid you hear screaming in Walmart is just bad behaviored kid. You know, maybe they're having a bad day. You know, maybe they have autism. Maybe they have something else. Maybe they're just, you know, they've been to the doctor and they broke their arm and we just don't know. And so I think kindness goes a long, long way. And also negativity goes a long, long way in the other direction. So anyway, I hope that helped. Okay, Amy says, still fighting to get my son assessed. He's just turning 4. How did you get the doctors to truly listen to your worries about him? One doctor said because he made eye contact, he clearly doesn't have it, but I know my kid. And then she goes on and it cuts off. Amy, I am so sorry. I would say if your doctors aren't listening to you, it is time to find a new doctor. As a mom, you know your kid better than anyone. And if you have concerns, I would not stop making a fight until you get those concerns looked at. For us, how it worked was, hold on, there's more bells. So sorry, that was UPS, and then Layla went crazy. You as a mom know your kid best, and you have to make a fuss sometimes until you get them assessed the way you think they need to be assessed. If doctors are blowing you off, I would ask for a different doctor. How it worked for us is we had sort of concerns, but when we would go to the pediatrician, I didn't really address the concerns at first, because I was honestly just hoping that I was wrong. Like I didn't want to hear, oh yes, I agree with you that there's something wrong with your kid. So, you know, when they asked us, is he talking like 8 to 10 words? I'd be like, yes. And he was. But when finally it like hit my heart, like we need to get help. When Nate was like 3-ish, I made an appointment to the pediatrician and had my concerns and said, look, you know, I think there's something bigger going on. We had a wonderful pediatrician. And once I said that, he was like, you know, I've had some concerns too. And we're going to get him in. It was called Autism Community Network. And it was like a group of doctors that diagnosed your kid. So it wasn't just a pediatrician diagnosing. I don't know if this is normal, if this is what everybody does to get diagnosed, or if that was abnormal. We were in San Antonio, as a big city. But it was a group of doctors. It was like a psychologist and a medical doctor and an occupational therapist. It was a whole big group of people. And they diagnosed Nate after like 2 days of watching him and doing different things with him. And it took a long time to get in with them. It took like over 6 months to actually get seen. So in the meantime, we went into the school system, and because of his disability and like delayed speech and stuff, he was able to get into the special needs program at the preschool, and that's where we started getting lots of support. So before, like, and I will say, like, the pediatrician, we did try speech therapy and all that. Like, he was trying to help what we thought maybe was just a speech delay and stuff like that. But I finally had to have like a meeting with him where I said, you know, like, I think it's bigger than this. And once I said that, he was like, you know what, I agree with you. There's other things. So I would just say, if your doctor's not willing to listen to you, new doctor, new second opinion. Doesn't have to be anything. Like, there's some doctors in our pediatrician group that I just don't really like. So I always ask to see a different one. There was a group of doctors when we were in Georgia that, I don't know if I ever told this story, but we were trying to get Nate diagnosed with ADHD, or we knew that he had ADHD. We were just trying to get like him on some medicine. And she was so rude to us. Like, she completely dismissed my thoughts. So I told her, Nate does not take pills. He will not take Liquids are very, very hard too. We need some sort of medicine though that we can mix into juice, mix into yogurt. Like, he's not going to take a pill. I don't want him to have pills at school. I want to be able to give it to him at home. I don't want school to become like synonymous with, you know, them making me eat whatever I don't like or whatever. She basically said, no. It was like, this is a pill he's going to take. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get him to take it? He won't take it. And she's like, you're going to have to figure it out. And she was so rude. And she dismissed every concern I had and was like, you know, like, oh, well, you know, every time I asked her a question, and I'm very nice, you know, but she was just so unbelievably unwilling to listen to me that we left that doctor's office. I ripped that prescription up. I called them back and I said, look, I want another doctor appointment and I don't ever want to see her again. And the ladies up the front were really, really nice. They got me in. We ended up having to drive to a different location to see a different doctor because they said at our clinic, she's the only one that handles ADHD kids. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, do you have another location? We'll drive. And we found this amazing doctor. He was so wonderful. And he said, and I told him everything that that lady had said to me because I wanted him to know. I wrote the clinic and like filed a thing about her behavior and stuff. And he said, that's not true. There are stuff that you can mix in with yogurt. There are stuff you can give in the morning before he goes to school. And he totally was willing to listen to us. And that made all the difference. So I don't expect a doctor to be perfect. I don't expect them to even know exactly what to do, but be willing to listen to me as the parent, because I promise you, I know my kid and I know if I say he's not going to take a pill, like, he's not going to take the pill. And so like, you need to be willing to listen to me. So I know that's a whole different thing, but I've been in those situations before. And sometimes you just have to, I don't like confrontation. I do not like having to do that. But I was so mad when she completely was like, she literally said, we'll figure it out. And I was like, oh, no. Like, you don't tell me that, you know? And so you have to be willing sometime to go, look, I know my kid. And if you're not willing to listen to me, I will find someone else who will. So I don't know your specific situation. Maybe look for a different doctor in your group to start with there and ask, look, maybe you don't agree with me that he has autism, but I want to get him assessed. And they will tell you, like, that was the whole thing of the autism clinic or the autism community network, is to get diagnosed. So some kids go in there and they evaluate them and they don't come out with a diagnosis. Fine, you know, but at least those are experts looking at them. Like, you don't care, like, you're probably not rooting for him to be diagnosed with something, but you want answers. And that's how I am too. Like, you want to know what's going on. So you have to, like, sometimes push those doors down. I know it's hard. I'm sending you so many hugs. Okay, Hilda Strang said, what is the prognosis for Nate's future? Is it expected he will be able to live and function on his own as an adult? This question, like, keeps me up at night. Like, of course, like, I've thought about this. Like, the hardest thing as an autism parent to think about, like, one day David and I will pass away. What will happen to Nate? God has given me a lot of peace about it, though, because he has given Nate amazing siblings who I know are going to watch out after him. It's a very hard subject to talk about. We don't know. We don't know what Nate's going to be capable of. As he grows, we will see. At this point, I can't imagine him living alone. I feel like he would need more care than that. But there are, like, group homes and things like that, and places that they're able to be independent but have someone also kind of checking on them. And so I'm not sure if something like that, I'm not really sure yet. And it's hard to think about, but I know that God is in control of all of our days, and he's given me peace that he has amazing brother and sister who are going to be his biggest advocates. And I'm so proud of the kids I have. They're such a blessing and they love each other so much. And so God is so good, and he is faithful even there, even in the future that my brain goes to and I worry. He's faithful even there, and he's already there, and he already has the solution when I don't know. Oh man. Okay, Life with Kim. Most of your question got cut off, but I do remember reading it, so I'm going to try my best. She says, I love this comment section. It's so full of so much love. I'm crying. I know. The comments and the questions were so sweet. She has an almost 5-year-old son that's on the spectrum, and he's going to be starting kindergarten this fall. Okay, I went ahead and looked up Kim's question because I did not want to just paraphrase it. She says, I'm absolutely terrified for him. How did you handle Nate starting school? Did you have any issues with bullying? Do you have any issues with the teachers? Mama, I'm sending you so much love. I felt the exact same way when Nate started preschool. It feels like I had him in this bubble, and now I'm sending him off into the world. Like, where kids, are they going to be mean to him? Are teachers going to be mean to him? Like, how do I do this? I just want to tell you, Nate has blossomed in school. It is amazing what school has done for him. I'm not saying every kid's like that, but I do think a lot of autistic kids like the routine of school. They like being with their peers, and they like getting the support the school has to offer. I have had nothing but amazing experiences with teachers and students with Nate. I think it's a different day and age than it was even when we were growing up. Kids are exposed to more disabilities, and I know there's going to come a time where Nate maybe get bullied or picked on or talked to in an ugly way. I don't think Nate's going to care because he's just living his best life, and he probably won't even give them the time of day and even notice they said it. But that's hard as a parent to think about. But I will say that the kids in Nate's class love him. I mean, they love him. They cheer him on. They are amazed by his abilities, and they just think he's the coolest guy. Like, they fight over getting to sit by him, and they all help him, and it's just beautiful. Nate's also been in special needs classrooms. He's been in regular classrooms. He kind of goes back and forth. And the teachers that teach him have been amazing. Like, they go into this profession because they love kids like this. And so I have had nothing but amazing experiences at school. Go into it just expecting that. Of course, if you don't have that, there's things you can do. He will have an IEP. They will have to meet his needs. And if they're not meeting his needs, then that's a whole nother conversation. But I go into every school, and Nate's been at 3 now. I go into every school going, you know what? This is going to be an amazing experience. And, it has been. Like, I just try to really think positive and realize that the teachers there are to support him. They are amazing at their job. And the kids love it. They love being around Nate. And I'm sure it gets hard sometimes because Nate is in a regular classroom and he is all over the place sometimes. And he's running around and he's screaming and stuff. So I know it can be hard on them. But they're so, like, every time I've seen kids around him at school, they're just so loving to him. And I think it says something about our society that's growing up, that they're going to be, like, the kids aren't pushed off into a back room. Like, they're celebrated. And they get to see kids that are different. I don't ever remember seeing, I know it wasn't as prevalent back then, but I don't ever remember seeing a special needs kid in my classroom ever, of any kind. And I think it's so cool now that that happens regularly. So I'm sending you all the love. Go into it with it, like, arms wide open, like, and up in the air, going, I surrender this to you, God, and watch him love it. Now, it may take a little while. It's a transition, but I think he's going to love it. And I think that you will too when you see him blossom like that. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm very long-winded on these questions. Darkened Moon, she asked several questions that I already answered, but let me see on her question if there's some that I haven't answered, because I think there's a couple that I haven't. How are you working through helping increase the foods he will eat? Yeah, eating is a big one. The doctors that we work with basically is like, Nate's eats really good for a kid with autism. Just keep doing what you're doing. So I don't push it too much, but I do try to broaden what he eats, and he has gotten so good. So, like, I do it gradually. I've always done this with Nate, and it's always worked pretty much. So, like, say he loves cheese quesadillas. Okay, he loves cheese quesadillas. I will push the envelope. Sometimes when I make cheese quesadillas, I'll throw in some taco meat. And then once he started getting used to that, I'll put beans and taco meat in there. And then once he gets used to that, maybe I'll try turkey and cheese. And it really, I don't know if you guys can hear the wind. I am inside. The wind is whipping around the house. So I start out with the food he likes, and then we increase it. Like, he's just started to like sausage on his pizza. That didn't happen by accident. He loves pepperoni. Then we started doing pepperoni with sausage. He liked that for a while, and now he'll eat sausage. And so I think as we keep going, maybe maybe we could throw a vegetable in there. I don't know. Vegetables are very hard for him because of the texture. I try not to stress out about it. Like, he eats a fairly good diet, and I sneak in vegetables when I can. It's very hard because he catches you. But I just try to go with something he likes and like give it a little twist. But I don't ever want to push him too hard because he does have sensory issues. And so he will try foods and then gag. Like, that's what he normally does. Like, he wants to like fruits and vegetables, so that's good. I feel good about that. But maybe his sensory issues will get better, or as he grows, you know, his taste will change. She was saying that she remembers back in the day when how he struggled with food and talking and stuff. And he has, if you guys started watching when he was like, Lucy was 1, so he was, you know, 4 or something when I started YouTube. He has changed so much. He has grown so much, and it's so cool to look back and see. Lisa shared her, I don't know if she wants me to say all this, but she basically talked about how her son was diagnosed with autism in kindergarten, and now in 2nd grade, he has anxiety and ADHD, and they're waiting on an appointment with a psychiatrist. She said they've taken him out of school to do virtual. He's not eating, and he's had issues with bullying. He's always been in a regular class and only needs an IEP teacher. I'm sending you so much love, Lisa. COVID like threw us all a bomb, like, you know, and these kids especially, like, their whole lives, you know, the school and the routine and everything got switched up all upside down, and it's been really, really hard. So I would just say give yourself and him a lot of grace. And I'm sorry you had issues with bullying, and I can't even imagine. I know that's really, really hard. Kids are, most of them that I've found have been so nice and sweet, but if they're bullying, they're just ignorant on, you know, disabilities, and I would try not to let it bother you. Now, if it's bothering your kid, I get like having a very big problem with that, but if it's not really, if he doesn't really notice it, then I would just try to let it go, but I know that's hard. I know you can talk to the school, and I don't know if there's something they can do, but I'm sending you so much love. And just keep being patient with him and yourself, and just try to breathe, and hopefully all of this mess will get back soon. And you can get in with a psychiatrist or someone that's going to help you get the medication and support that you need. Amanda Jones said, what do you most appreciate about how parents of neurotypical children answer when their children have questions about a child with autism's behavior or mannerisms? I think this is a great question. I have gotten this question from kids, and also heard parents talk about this with their kids when we're around. I love when kids have questions for me about Nate. When I go into children's church with him, or I go into anywhere with him, and another kid's like, why is he jumping like that? Why is he putting his hands on his ears? It is awesome because I have a chance to educate them. They don't know. Like, it's a normal question. Kids are curious. That's why kids will say, like, why is that lady so big? Like, they have no filter. And so I think the best thing you can do as a parent is not say, shh, don't say that. Like, that's like, and tell them that them asking that question is wrong, because it's a normal question. They should ask those questions, like, what's going on? And I don't think they're saying it in a mean way. They just don't know. And so what I always say is, oh, he has autism, and it makes his ears really sensitive, and so that's why he's covering them up. And they'll be like, oh, okay. Or they'll say, why is he jumping so much? Like, he has a lot of energy, and he has autism, and it just helps him to jump. It makes him feel good. I try to keep it really basic, and they're like, oh, and they usually take it like, okay. But I would just say, if your kids are asking you questions, like, answer age appropriately, but don't ever shush them. Don't ever say, like, because when I'm around and somebody of these kids says, why is that boy different? You know, the parent's first response is to be like, shush. But, you know, the parents would say, oh, you know, I don't know, let's go ask his mom, or, you know, I don't know, like, maybe he has autism, or maybe he's different. That is not offensive at all. I think the more information, for me at least, the better. And I love educating kids about it, because you know what? Nate may be the first kid with autism they've seen, but he won't be the last. And so the more we can talk to them, maybe when they see another kid with autism, they'll go, oh, you know what? I bet he has autism. And it's not weird and scary. It's just, oh, that's what autism, you know, maybe they have autism or maybe they have something else. And just teaching kids that they're different, I think. But kids are hilarious and they crack me up every time. Let's move on. I'm trying to get on my phone so I can see your total questions. Disciplining your child on the spectrum versus your other neurotypical children. I know this will vary from person to person. Stefania, this is a great question. And this is one that, you know, it's hard. Like, I wouldn't say we have it all figured out because discipline is important. I don't want Nate to think he can just get away with being however he is. But learning what's important, learning, okay, this is something like hitting, like that's not okay. Him doing something smaller, like maybe he, you know, I told him not to get up and he got up or whatever. I try to like pick my battles, I guess is what I'm saying. Like we pick the stuff that is like, no, that's a deal breaker. You're not going to hit people. And we pick punishments that he will appreciate more. So like I do not have a problem spanking my kids. Nate has never responded well to spanking. He is it will completely send him into a meltdown. It is, and some kids respond better than others, but Nate has it's never gone well to spank him. So what we do is we take away privileges, and he does not like that. So if he has a bad day at school, we'll take away his electronic privileges, and that really speaks to him. So I say, like, this is a question, like, pretty much for all my kids, I have discipline differently. You know, I don't really spank my kids that much because I found that doesn't really work for them. Now Mark is 2, so if he's doing something bad, like really the only thing I can do is kind of pop his hands or just say no really firmly. You know, I think Nate responds very well to like calm, like any kind of discipline where we're like being too, like, not yelling, but I don't yell at my kids, but anything that's too harsh, he just completely shuts off. So we have to keep it really positive, but firm, and just say, look, you did something bad at school. You know, he bit a teacher one day. Now, I don't think you meant to bite her. Her hand was in the way, and he has a very like sensory, seeking mouth. And so he'll bite on books, he'll bite on his iPad. And I think her hand just kind of got in the way, but that was bad. Like I felt terrible. So he lost privileges for that, and he hasn't bitten anybody since. So I think you have to make a big deal. Like I will discipline him because he needs it. Kids need discipline. But I also have to understand, and this is sometimes by trial and error, like this did not work well, this did. And for Nate, especially, like the more calm I can stay, and it's hard sometimes when I get a call that he bit a teacher, stay calm. But you know, the calmer I can stay and the more just patient I can be, usually better. That doesn't mean I let him get away with stuff. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, there is a few that I've already answered, so I'm going to skip them. How did you get Nate to eat different foods? My son eats the same thing week in and week out. I actually think he's dropping some of the foods he would eat before. It's so disheartening. Tina, I am so sorry, girl. I have been there and done that, and I'm dealing with it with Mark, and he doesn't have autism. Kids are finicky. It's so hard, and then kids with autism, especially like the sensory stuff. Like I said before, like I just tweak stuff he already likes and just try it. I also have heard it takes like 15 to 20 times of introducing a food before a kid sometimes will eat it, like on average. So just keep trying. You know, I try. What I've found is the more I try to push food on Nate or Mark, the more I try to push them to eat, the more they backfire. It backfires on me. So I try to make food just a neutral thing, like put it in front of them. If they don't want it, fine. You know, like forcing them like 2 bites, 1 bite before you get this and that, like all the negotiating, to me, it doesn't work. And like the stressing out I do, like if Nate doesn't eat good, the stressing out I do about it doesn't help. It just makes it worse. So just stay calm. Offer him things that you think he's going to like. I never put anything on Nate's plate that I know like he is like is going to gag him out. He doesn't even want to see it on his plate. But like if it's a quesadilla that he's used to seeing, he may tolerate it with some beans in it. And only you know your kid that much and to know what would be best for them. But I'm sending you lots of hugs because I'm going through that right now too with Mark. And you know, toddler life is strong. And I don't know how old your son is, but yeah, it can be really, really hard. Okay. Let's see if we have any more. This is about his peanut allergy. They're asking like, I think they're asking like, does he know that he has peanut allergies and does he know that he has autism? I want to shout this from the rooftops. You should tell your kids that they have autism, or you should tell your kids that they have whatever they have. That is part of their story. And that is my opinion. I know everybody's different. I don't think hiding the fact that they have autism from them is healthy, because to me, that makes it seem like autism is bad and it's something that we shouldn't talk about. And like what happens like when they're 10 or 11 or 12 and you tell them, oh yeah, well, we found out you had autism back when you were 3. You know, I just feel like that's hiding part of their story. And also like, I want autism to be a thing that isn't like, it's just the same thing as like Lucy is blonde hair and she wears glasses, and, you know, Nate has autism and he, you know, is blonde headed and he's tall. You know, it's not all of who he is. It's a part of him and it's part of his health history and it's part of, you know, so Nate does know he has autism. We talk about it. He does not care at all, really. Like, he's living his best life. He is oblivious to anybody's negativity or anything. But we are very open with the fact that he has autism, telling Lucy at an age she could understand. By the time she was like 2 or 3, you know, she would ask me like, why does Bubby do this? Or why does Nate do that? And I would say, well, it's because he has autism. And we are very open to talk to her about it, because I want her to be empathetic to other kids as she's growing up. So we're very open and honest about it. Yes, he knows he has autism. He knows he's not supposed to eat peanuts. He doesn't like peanuts anyway. But I think it's very important, if your child has a food allergy, they should definitely know about it, because you want them not, they need to be aware not to eat that. Thankfully, you know, Nate is very, very picky. He doesn't like anything with peanuts. He doesn't like any sweet stuff. So it's pretty easy. But we tell him all the time, like, you don't eat peanuts. Peanuts are yucky for you. It makes you sick. We tell everybody that watches him, because you never know when peanut stuff is going to be around. I mean, peanuts are very popular and common. And so, you know, we tell everybody that cares for him. He's got an EpiPen. He's all that. So he's very aware, but he's also oblivious to life, because he's just so happy-go-lucky, and he doesn't think, I promise you, he doesn't sit around thinking like, I have autism. He doesn't do that. But I think that it's also because we've not made autism this bad, like, 4-letter word that we should never say. And it's just part of him, and not all of him. It's not even the most exciting thing about him. It's just, you know, part of his story. Another one is, does Nate know he has autism? How did you tell him? We've never like had a sit down conversation where we said, you have autism, but it's just been part of our conversation his whole life. As soon as we found out that he has autism, we worked it into conversations. We've not made it a big deal, and I'm very open to tell anybody that he has autism. Like, back when he first got diagnosed, I had family and friends that would be like, oh, I should not have said that he had autism. You know, should I not have told people? And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, he does have autism, and it's nothing to hide. Okay. I know this is getting long, but I'm really trying to finish this. Does Nate have a hard time in school making friends, or does he get bullied? He does not make friends a whole lot, because he honestly doesn't care. He will much rather go up to an adult and try to have a conversation with them and like ask them like a math problem, or like, he's just not very social with kids his age. I don't know why. But there is a few kids in his class that I've heard their names. That's new. So I hope one day he'll be able to make friends. If you ask him, who's your best friend? Do you guys know what he says? He says, Lucy. And he plays with her and loves her and has conversations with her and puts up with all kinds of stuff from her. She has this little sister, and they love each other so much, and so they're best friends. I hate that he doesn't have more friends, but he honestly doesn't care. Like, he doesn't nurture that. You know, he's living his own life. He's living his best life, and he doesn't stop to make friends, but maybe that'll come. Oh, man. Okay, blessed family of 5. She says, I have a 4-year-old boy with autism and having trouble with potty training. See last week's video about the part 1. We have had so much trouble with potty training. You are not alone. And also getting him to use a straw cup. This brought back so many memories. I'm not laughing because I know the struggle. I'm laughing because I completely forgot about this. Nate would not drink out of a straw cup for the first several years of his life. It was so frustrating. We always had to bring a cup with us that was just like a sippy cup. He would not drink out of a straw, and we tried everything. And I freaked out enough about, like, I don't know why, like, I always freak out about stuff. I should have just chilled. But what we ended up doing that worked, we just took away all of his other cups, and this may seem harsh, but it worked like less than a few hours. He's such a big drinker that he was going to figure it out, but it's like he would gag on it. Like, he didn't get this sucking thing. Another thing we did was we got like Capri Sun pouches, and so once you put the straw to his lips, we could kind of squeeze it and show him that the liquid's coming up through here. That helped. But we just took away his cups for just a couple hours, and every time he got thirsty, I would hand him the straw cup, and it wasn't long after that. But he really likes to drink, so that might not work for you. But I remember so vividly the struggle of him not drinking out of a straw cup. We even put him in daycare for like a very short period of time while I was having some pregnancy complications with Lucy, and they worked on getting him to use a straw cup, and they couldn't do it either. So I'm feeling you, Mom. It will happen, though. It will happen. Nate will drink anything out of any cup now because he loves to drink anything. Does he get frustrated when he can't do a goal? How do you remedy that? He doesn't really. Nate, like I said, Nate lives his best life. He doesn't really get frustrated that easily. If he gets a question wrong, sometimes he will be upset. And I think he's more mad because we have to answer more questions, like on his homework. If he gets one wrong, like, it will trigger a new question to come up. I think he doesn't like that more than he got it wrong. But no, he doesn't really do that. When was diagnosed with autism, did you cope? How did you cope with your family? It was hard. Coping is hard when you figure out. But honestly, like, as much as I thought it was going to be hard, and it was hard when he got diagnosed with autism. I remember David and me just crying our eyes out. Once he got diagnosed with autism, though, like, we had such peace about it because it's like, well, this is what he has, and we're going to get through it. And now we know how to help him. And so it was kind of like a good thing. It really was a good thing getting answers, because living without answers is just, you don't know what it could be, like what's wrong, like, you know, and so getting answers was actually really, really helpful. Okay. How can family and friends help support a family when they have kids on the spectrum? It's hard because I don't trust a whole lot of people with my kid, but I just say, like, being open to learning, because your kid may need something. Like, if you have a grandchild with autism, they may learn differently, or they may act differently than your kids did. So being willing to just look at it from a different perspective and not be like, well, in my kids, I did this. All of our family has been very great with Nate, and they kind of watch me, and they watch how I am with Nate and how David is with Nate, and they mimic that, and they've done that so beautifully, and that means a lot to us. So yeah, I would just say how best to help, watch what their parents do and do that. Like, we have all these tricks, like when Nate's having a meltdown, like, we count down to calm down, and we have all these different things we do with him. And so they've kind of picked up those just being around us. Other than that, just ask the parents, like, how best can we support you? How best can we help you? And that means a lot when people ask that. Okay. I know this video is getting long, but I don't want to do another one. Okay, this is the last one. Everybody else asked questions that are very big duplicates, the other ones. So I don't want to answer stuff twice. That would make this video very long. A. Marie says, since your first child has autism, were you ridden with worry about your second and third having autism? Did you know pretty early Lucy was typical? Thankfully, I guess, by the time I got pregnant with Lucy, we didn't really know. Nate was less than 2 when we got pregnant with Lucy, so we didn't know fully that he had autism. So I didn't have a lot of that fear going into her pregnancy, thankfully, because that would just be awful. I had enough, like, pregnancy stuff with her. So I didn't have a lot of fear going into it. Of course, every time you're pregnant, you're worried that something could be wrong. After Lucy was born and we figured out, okay, it keeps cutting me off. This is going to be a very long video, and I'm so sorry. After Lucy was born and we knew Nate had autism and everything, we weren't sure if we wanted to have another kid, just because, like, there was a strong possibility that kid could have autism. And, like, would that be my whole thing? I wouldn't mind having another kid with autism. It's not the worst thing in the world. But my whole thing was, would it be fair to Nate to bring another kid that would like split my focus. Like that was my whole worry. Like, am I doing the right thing by him by choosing to have another kid? So we really just didn't know that we were going to have any more. And I ended up getting pregnant, surprise pregnancy. And I did have a lot of fear with Mark at first, a lot of fear at first, especially when I found out he was a boy, because boys have a higher rate of being, you know, autistic. And I did have a lot of fear. Not that girls can't too, but I think it's pretty strong in boys. Higher percentage chance in boys. And so I had a hard time, and you know what? God gave me such peace about it. And you know what? Like, babies are a blessing, and God makes them in his image, and he is strong, and he will be with us no matter what we go through. And so I just had a lot of peace that Mark was going to be okay. But even if he had a disability, even if he had autism, then he was meant to be a part of our family. And I stopped, like I told you guys before in videos, like I don't look at growth, like development stuff. It just stresses me out. It reminds me of when Nate was a baby and I obsessed over growth and development charts and stuff. So with Mark, I've just tried to enjoy him being a baby. And when we go to the doctor, we talk about growth and development. He's always done amazing. He's always right where he should be. And I've just dropped the fear of, oh my God, what if he has autism? And from everything we've seen, he doesn't. But we're not able to choose like what kind of kids we're going to have. And that's where we just have to leave it in God's hands. And, you know, he knows more than me, and he's in the future where I'm not. And he just gave me such peace about it. So that was a really good question though. And I think we're finally done. So I am so sorry. I don't even know how long this video is, but I feel like it's really long. So I hope this helped, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being open to learn more about autism. I'm sending you guys all the love and hugs and everything. If you like the video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Please subscribe if you're new. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Walking home late at night, maybe 2:30. A little drunk, but I'm alright, 'cause I've been hanging with you, and it feels like